Hello, listeners, and welcome to the first program of our series, Awakening Entrepreneurial Minds, which is produced for grade 8 learners and anybody else who has an interest in the subject. My name is Pisan Shindume. Today we'll learn about entrepreneurship. Please get a pen and a notebook ready. We'll need the two as we dig into what we have for you. Please be sure to take notes of the important points. Okay, answer the question at the end for self-assessment. Entrepreneurship is widely practiced, and Namibia has gone an extra mile by introducing entrepreneurship as a school subject in order to teach and awaken Namibian children's minds of entrepreneurial opportunities, benefits, risks involved in entrepreneurial settings, not only school-bound, but also to use the knowledge obtained to apply to real-life situations. At the end of this program, you should be able to define and distinguish between enterprise, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneur. List and explain the benefits and challenges of being an entrepreneur.
Hey Esther,
Hey Pena, what's up?
I'm good. I was scanning through what Miss said we will be running today, and I found those three terms very difficult and confusing.
Tell me about it, my friend. It makes the two of us. I'm glad you brought it up, Pena. I partially understand what enterprise is, but I'm struggling to differentiate between entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. Can you please explain to me in your own words, what is the difference between the two?
No, Esther. I really do not want to dump my confusion on you. Let us rather ask Miss Shindume in class.
Good morning, class. Esther and Pena, are you okay? Why are you standing on the doorway? Come in.
Yes, miss. We just can't tell the difference between these three terms. Enterprise, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneur. I know for sure that enterprise is an entrepreneurial venture that brings together economic resources to achieve a desired objective. I just, however, mix up the definitions of entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. Can you please shed some light on this?
You know, Esther, you two are not the only ones finding trouble differentiating between the three terms. Enterprise is an entrepreneurial venture that brings together economic resources to achieve a desired objective. That objective is usually to make a profit. So you are right. Take note of the two other terms again and understand the difference between them. Entrepreneurship is the process of identifying a business opportunity, taking a risk to start and run a business, whilst an entrepreneur is a person that identifies opportunity, gather resources, takes the risk to start a business.
So, Miss, literally, in short, enterprise is the entrepreneurial venture. Entrepreneur is the person, while entrepreneurship is the process when the entrepreneur establishes an enterprise.
You are quite right, Pena. It looks like somebody was following.
Miss, I want to ask a question related... Take two. Miss, I want to ask a question related to what we are learning now. May I?
Go on, my dear.
See, my dad is a renowned businessman, but he's constantly stressed. Is it possible to be such a successful entrepreneur and still be stressed?
Honestly, Esther, you got to be kidding me. Your dad is a successful entrepreneur? There is no way he will ever stress.
Oh, calm down. I'm supposed to be answering this question now. Okay, thank you, Esther, for the question. That's actually a good way to introduce our discussion for today. You know, being an entrepreneur is not just all smiles. Entrepreneurs have benefits and challenges too. So from your own point of view, what do you think are the benefits and challenges of being an entrepreneur? That's the question we'll answer in today's lesson.
Well, Miss, I think the benefits are quite obvious. Entrepreneurs make and increase their own income generated from the profit they make. Their standard of living also improves because they have money to satisfy their wants and also afford other luxurious properties like fancy houses and cars and family vacations They also have flexible working hours. I mean, they only work when it suits them. Like my uncle sometimes decides to go open his shop at 12 p.m. and nobody will question him. Entrepreneurs are self-employed people. They create jobs for themselves, which can also mean that they are self-reliant and they depend on themselves on their own.
You're so right, Pena. I mean, everything that you just said now defines my dad. We don't even have to introduce ourselves in society anymore. And it's as if everybody already knows him and his family. He became so popular, well-known and socially recognized. And just like any other entrepreneur, he's also financially independent. He depends on his own income and no one else's. It's so fascinating how a single risk can change your life forever.
I must say I'm very impressed by how you have handled this question. I'm convinced that if this question comes in exams, you'll be able to tackle it. Others that you have given are the benefits of an entrepreneur. But we have another underlying question. Now that we know of the benefits, could you please think of the possible challenges that entrepreneurs face?
Miss, I honestly can't think of any challenges. Entrepreneurs have everything they could ever dream of.
Honestly, Miss, like I said, my dad is always stressed and restless. So if I'm asked to say one challenge, I think I would just say entrepreneurs are often stressed.
Esther, you are right, my dear. Entrepreneurs experience a lot of stress from business losses as well as pressure from family and friends' demands. People assume that when you're an entrepreneur, you have it all together. But that's not always the case. Just now, Esther, you said that a single risk can change your life forever. It can either make it better or worse. Being an entrepreneur, there is no safety net. There is always a risk of failure or a risk of losing an investment if the business fails. Some people even lose their properties in mortgage if business fails. You might as well lack capital or money to start your business or find it difficult to get a loan from financial institutions. And even if you have startup capital, sometimes customers might not like your products or your services. Maybe it's just not attractive, or maybe it's very expensive for them to afford.
Oh my goodness, who would have thought that entrepreneurs face so many challenges? But now that you taught us about them, it is starting to make perfect sense. But Miss, what happens if they don't make profit, Miss?
That's a good question, Pena. You know that we said entrepreneurs make their own income from the profit made. The challenge to that is sometimes the income is very uncertain. Some months you'll make more, some less, and some nothing at all, which is hard because with no profit, your business is at the risk of closing down. Some people don't give up so fast, so they subject themselves to long working hours, which deprives them of spending time with friends and families.
Thank you so much, Miss. You wouldn't have explained it any better. If you don't mind, may I please sum up what I've learned today?
Sure, go ahead, Esther.
Thank you, Miss. Today I have learned that enterprise is an entrepreneurial venture that brings together economic resources to achieve a desired objective. Entrepreneurship is the process of identifying a business opportunity, taking the risk to start and run a business. And entrepreneur is a person that identifies opportunity, gather resources, as well as takes the risk to start a business. The benefits of being an entrepreneur are as follows. Flexibility, which means they only work when it suits them. Self-employed, they create jobs for themselves. Social recognition, become popular and well-known in the society. Financial independence means that the entrepreneur generates their own income. Increased income, the entrepreneur generates his or her own income, or the business profit increased income will also increase. Self-reliance, they depend on their own. Improved standard of living, their way of living will be as better as they have income to satisfy their needs, or earning extra income enables the entrepreneur to afford luxury properties.
Miss, please let me sum up the challenges of being an entrepreneur.
I didn't realize we learned so much today. Go ahead, Pena. We are running out of time. Please make it quick.
Challenges of being an entrepreneur are no safety net, there is always a risk of failure, or risk of losing an investment if business fails. Uncertainty in income, there are no fixed income, or income depend on the demand for product or services. Experience a lot of stress. Experience pressure from friends because of financial and lifestyle change, or pressure from customers. An entrepreneur has a lot of work. Customers may not like your product or service, or cannot afford the product is not attracting, or the product or service are very expensive. Long hours of work can put a strain on family. Lack of fund or capital, there is no enough money to start the business, or it's not easy to get a loan from financial institutions.
Up to the sky, jump to the sky, up to the sky.
And that brings us to the end of today's program, listeners. But before we say goodbye, let's have some fun. Here's the question that we've promised you. What is entrepreneurship? A person that identifies opportunity, gather resources, take the risk, and start a business. I'll read A again. A person that identifies opportunity, gather resources, take the risk to start a business. B, an entrepreneurial venture that brings together economic resources to achieve a desired objective. I'll read B again. An entrepreneurial venture that brings together economic resources to achieve a desired objective. And C, the process of identifying a business opportunity, taking the risk to start and run a business. I'll read C again. The process of identifying a business opportunity, taking the risk to start and run a business. This program was written by Pisen Shindume. So until next time, take care, keep safe, wash your hands, and sanitize. Goodbye.
Up to the sky, jump to the
This program was brought to you by NAMCOL with funding from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture and the Commonwealth of Learning.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to our second program of our series, Awakening Entrepreneurial Minds, which is produced for grade 8 learners and, of course, anybody else who has an interest in the subject. My name is Pisen Shindume. Today we'll learn about ethics in life and in business. Please be sure to have a pen and a notebook with you so that you can make notes of the important points. It's very important to listen until the end of this program because we'll have a question for you. Our lives are defined by principles and values. Society has it that we have to live by a code of conduct that defines what is right and what is wrong, what is acceptable and what is unacceptable in life. These are ethics. At the end of this program, you should be able to explain the meaning of life and business ethics, list, explain and role play the following desirable ethics: honesty, loyalty, punctuality, fairness, non-sexual environment, and harassment-free environment. Good morning, class.
Good morning, Miss.
How are you?
Yeah, fine.
Good, thank you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I hope you had a good weekend, except for George, of course. Young man, can you not find your seat?
Oh, sorry, miss. I was just asking Joy more about ethics. Last week you said we will be discussing about ethics today. I just wanted to make sure I have the right idea of the topic.
Amazing. I like the curiosity. So tell us what you have gathered so far on ethics. Pena.
Okay, ma'am. I think ethics are those things that our parents always tell us not to do, either because they are wrong, embarrassing, or just out of character. For example, my dad always tells me I should never take or use anything that doesn't belong to me. It's considered stealing and it's wrong.
That's a really good try. Close to the real answer. Well done. George, earlier you said that you were asking Joy about ethics. So she must also have an idea on ethics. What are ethics, Joy?
Miss, I think ethics are what is acceptable in life and in society. But where does society consider to be right?
Very good. Last Friday I said that today we'll be talking about ethics in life and in business. Ethics refer to the code of conduct of values, principles, and behavior by which people live.
Miss, what is a code of conduct?
That's a good question, George. Code of conduct is a set of rules outlining how to behave, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. School rules are a code of conduct for a school. They outline how learners and teachers should behave around school grounds.
Oh, Miss, now that you have explained what ethics are, I think it makes a lot more sense now.
That's right. I mean, now you just have to add life or business to the explaining of ethics. Like, life ethics refers to the code of conduct, values, principles, and behaviors that are acceptable in life, whilst business ethics refers to the acceptable way in which business should operate.
Superb, Joy. That's excellent. Now that we know what life and business ethics are, we can move on. We have 6 desirable ethics in life and in business, namely honesty, loyalty, fairness, punctuality, non-sexual environment, harassment-free environment. I repeat, we have 6 desirable ethics in life and business, namely honesty, loyalty, fairness, punctuality, non-sexual environment, and harassment-free environment.
Ms., does desirable mean acceptable? Because society considers all those things that you have just mentioned just as acceptable and right. Children who are honest and punctual when they are sent by their parents are considered well-mannered.
Yes, Joy, desirable ethics are what is considered right and acceptable. For exam purposes, you should know how to list and how to explain them in the life and business context. This is how you should explain them. Honesty, you should be able to tell the truth either in life or in business. Loyalty, do not talk badly about your company, employer, and colleague to the outside world. Fairness, you should be able to treat other people the same as you wish them or expect them to treat you. Punctuality, we should always be on time at work or on task. Non-sexual environment is a working environment which is free from sexual activities such as kissing, watching pornographic materials, etc. Harassment-free environment is a working environment which is free from annoying, attacking, or bothering somebody repeatedly.
Miss, can you give us one example of how to practice fairness in life or business?
That's a very good question, George. To practice fairness, you should avoid favoritism. You should treat people or your employees the same, give them equal payments if they are at the same rank, and also give fair promotions. Honesty, on the other hand, would mean, for example, as a business owner, you should be truthful about the expiry dates of your products.
Wow, Miss, you have explained so well. Some employees go as far as employing only their family members, paying them more salaries than the others, and even when there are promotions available in the company, only family members get them. That is really unfair and undesirable.
Just to be frank on punctuality, Many entrepreneurs lose great business deals because they don't show up on time for meetings and they miss deadlines for projects or paperwork submission.
That's right. Same thing happens with employees. Many companies or businesses lose good employees because they fail to maintain a sexual and harassment-free working environment. People need to feel safe and secured in workplaces.
Yes, miss. You couldn't have explained it any better. If we still have time, may I please conclude today's lesson?
Yes, please, Joy. Go ahead. We have about 6 minutes.
I'll use it wisely, miss. Today I have learned that ethics refers to the code of values, principle, and behavior by which people live. Life ethics refers to the code of conduct, values, principles, and behaviors that are acceptable in life. And business ethics refers to the acceptable ways in which a business should be operated. And I've also learned how to list and explain the desirable ethics in life and business, which is honesty, meaning be able to tell the truth either in life or in the business. Loyalty, do not talk badly about your company, employer, and colleagues to outside world. And fairness, to treat other people the same you wish or expect them to treat you.
Miss, I would like to explain the last 3 if you allow me to.
Go ahead, George.
Starting with punctuality, we should always be on time at work or at any given task. Non-sexual environment is a working environment which is free from sexual activities such as kissing and watching pornographic materials, etc. Harassment-free environment is a working environment which is free from annoying, attacking, or bothering someone repeatedly.
Up to the sky, up to the sky, jump to the sky, up to the sky.
Well. Time flies. That brings us to the end of this program. But before we say goodbye, here is a question we have promised you. Now, this is an interesting question. In a group of 3, role play about how punctuality and honesty can be practiced in business. In the beginning of this program, we said that one of the objectives of this lesson is that you should be able to role play these desirable ethics. So now in groups of 3, role play about how punctuality and honesty can be practiced in business. You can do this with your 3 friends, or you can do this with your 2 siblings, as long as you are in groups of 3 and you role play how punctuality and how honesty can be practiced in business. This program was written by Peace and Shindume. So until next time, keep safe.
Up to the sky, up to the sky, jump to the sky.
This program was brought to you by Namcol with funding from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture and the Commonwealth of Learning.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the 3rd program of our series, Awakening Entrepreneurial Minds. which is produced for grade 8 learners and of course anybody else who has an interest in the subject. My name is Pisen Shindume. Today we'll learn about Namibian beliefs and values about business. Please be sure to have a pen and a notebook with you so that you make notes of important points. It's very important to listen until the end of this program because we'll have a question for you. Different people believe different things to be true. We all have different perspectives of what is right and what is wrong. But does that make our beliefs and values to be true, right or acceptable, just because we believe them to be true? Let's find out as we navigate through this topic. At the end of this program, you should be able to distinguish between negative and positive beliefs about businesses or enterprises in Namibia.
Hey, what's up, Jackson?
Cool.
You know what? My brother Namsa was causing a havoc in the house today. Apparently he wants to be a musician. Mom kept telling him that being a musician doesn't pay bills, but he's just adamant. I think Mom is right though. Nobody should ever be allowed to be a musician. Duh.
But, Unoshari, do you really believe that you cannot thrive in music? We have successful musicians in Namibia. Take for example King TD and Gaza. They became successful and wealthy. They also became well known and they achieved everything from music.
You're somewhat right, my friend. Come, let's go to class.
Let's go.
Good morning, class.
Good morning, Miss.
I would like us to tap into something reality-based today. Today's topic, we experience it in our lives. We will be talking about Namibian beliefs about business. We all have different perspectives about businesses and business owners. So I want you to tell me what your beliefs are about business.
Miss.
Let's start with Jackson. Your hand is up.
What are beliefs first?
That's a very good question, Jackson. What are beliefs? A belief is an opinion or idea that people think it's true, even if they cannot prove it. We have negative and positive beliefs about work and business. The negative beliefs are those that discourage people from carrying out the business ideas, whilst the positive beliefs are those that encourage people to carry out their business ideas.
Oh my goodness. Miss, that relates so much to what I and Unoshari were discussing earlier.
Tell me about it. The two of you have been talking so much these days.
Well, Miss, my brother wants to be a musician, but my mom said he should quit the idea because being a musician doesn't pay.
You see, that's an example of a negative belief about work. It's discouraging to say being a musician doesn't pay. It might even stop your brother from going forward with the idea. But is it really true? No. We have seen many people becoming very successful, making a lot of money from music. We have our own here and I know you know them. Don't you? We have the Gaza them, and just to give King TDs. So many international musicians own estates now from making music. They live in beautiful mansions and drive expensive cars.
You're right, Miss. We really impose our opinions on others sometimes, not realizing that it actually kills their dreams. I'm definitely going to talk to my mother today.
I'm glad you understand. Now, can any of you think of examples of negative and positive beliefs about businesses in Namibia?
Miss, we have this belief in Namibia that only old or matured people can start businesses and not the young people, which I totally disagree with because I believe even young people can start and operate business ventures and become successful if they work hard. Young people who are well trained and got sufficient capital can as well start businesses.
That's very true, Jackson. People also label women as weak when it comes to business. There is a belief that women cannot do well in businesses and should rather limit themselves to businesses such as poultry, basket weaving, and dressmaking, which is wrong because women, just like men, can do any type of business of their choice as long as they are confident enough.
Very good. Those are excellent examples. The list is long. We won't finish it. is there any question regarding negative and positive beliefs about businesses?
Yes, miss. I just wanted to know if it's true that shops cannot open on Sundays or in public holidays.
It's also a negative belief. Come to think of it, people may choose to work overtime on Sundays if the reward is good enough.
Thank you so much, miss. I really learned a lot from today's lesson. Since it's my turn to conclude, may I please do it now?
You sure, Uno?
Okay. I've learned about belief, negative beliefs, and positive beliefs. A belief is an opinion or idea that people think is true, even if they cannot prove it. Negative beliefs are those beliefs that discourage people from carrying out the business idea. And positive beliefs are those beliefs that encourage people to carrying out the business idea. And I've also learned examples of negative beliefs in Namibia, such as informal work, such as being a musician and sport does not pay. Women cannot do well in business and should limit themselves to businesses such as poultry, basket weaving, and dressmaking. And only old or mature people can start businesses. And lastly, shops should not open on Sundays or public holidays.
Miss, Unoshari covered the negative beliefs. I just want to sum up the examples of positive beliefs about business. Positive beliefs. This is not true. Talented people have excelled in music and sports. For example, The Dog and Frankie Fredericks, etc. Women are just like men. They can do any type of business of their choice as long as they are confident enough. Young people who are well trained and have got sufficient capital can as well start businesses. People may choose to work overtime if the reward is good enough.
That brings us to the end of this program. But before we say goodbye, here is a question we have promised you. Think of 3 examples of negative beliefs about businesses in Namibia and illustrate 3 examples of possible positive beliefs about businesses in Namibia. This program was written by Pisen Shindume, so until next time, keep safe.
Up to the sky, up to the sky. Jump
This program was brought to you by NAMCOL with funding from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture and the Commonwealth of Learning.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the 4th program of our series, Awakening Entrepreneurial Minds, which is produced for grade 8 learners and, of course, anybody else who has an interest in the subject. My name is Pisen Shindume. Today we will be learning about employment opportunities in Namibia. Please be sure to have a pen and a notebook with you so that you make notes of the important points. It's very important to listen until the end, because we'll have a question for you. In Namibia, not everyone can be afforded in the paid employment sector, so some people had to make ends meet for them and their families by creating employment for themselves and for their families. I hope today's program will shed some light on what each type of employment means and stands for. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe the different types of employment, which are self-employment and paid employment. Identify different businesses or enterprises that create employment opportunities in their communities. Explain the importance of enterprises to the entrepreneur and his or her family, which are as follows: to reduce unemployment, generate income, increase the living standard, and reduce poverty. Good morning, class.
Good morning, Miss.
Can any of you please tell me what you want to become when you are done with school?
Miss, when I finish school, I want to become a doctor.
Miss, I just really want to become a successful businessman and make money for myself.
Good. Your career options have made it very easy for me to introduce today's lesson. Today we will be focusing on paid and self-employment. Linus, please enlighten us on what you think paid employment is.
Miss, I think paid employment is when a person is working for someone to get a salary at the end of the month or week. Miss, like when Tuilika said that she wants to become a doctor, she will be paid by the government or by the hospital that is going to employ her.
Excellent.
Miss, should I explain what self-employment is too?
No, dear. Tuilika will explain self-employment for us.
Oh, Miss, I think self-employment is when a person is working for himself or herself to get an income. Like when Linus said that he wants to become a businessman. He wants to be self-employed and make his own income.
Very good, Tuilika. Self-employed people make money for themselves, whilst paid employed people get a salary or a wage at the end of the month or a week. Now, class, can you tell me what are some of the enterprises or businesses that create self-employment opportunities in Namibia?
Miss. One of them, Indongo Toyota, for Dr. Franz Aupa Indongo. He is my mentor actually. He started small but ended up employing a lot of people, and we can also look at Cambra Trading CC.
Yeah, Shitwen is also doing the most. He also owns a lot of businesses and he has employed a lot of people from the community.
That's right. I'm impressed by how smart you have become over the years. Now that you can identify the enterprises or businesses that create self-employment, what do you think are the importance of these enterprises or businesses to the entrepreneur and his or her family?
Miss, I think having your own businesses creates employment for the owner and his family, which in turn generate income for them because the owner gets profit, whilst the family members get a share of profit when they are paid salaries. I'm not sure if I'm right, Miss, but you can correct me if I'm wrong.
You are very correct, Tuilika dear. Superb. Enterprises also improve the living standard of the owner and his family, because through generating income, the owner now has enough money to satisfy the needs and the wants of his and his family, and also afford other luxurious things like family vacations.
Poverty is also reduced, Miss. Again, through income generation, the entrepreneur and his family are then able to afford their basic needs like shelter, food, and clothing.
That's right, Linus. I'm confident that if this question comes in exams, you'll tackle it quite well. Before Tuilika concludes our lesson for today, is there any question, class?
Not from me, Miss. All clear.
Very well then. Tuilika, please sum up what we have learned today.
Sure, Miss. I have learned that paid employment is when a person or an individual working for someone get a salary at the end of the month or week. And self-employment is when a person or individual working for him or herself get income. And I've also learned that Indongo Toyota, Cambra Trading CC, and Shitweni mini markets are some of the businesses or enterprises that create self-employment in Namibia. Enterprises are important to the entrepreneur and his family for the following reasons. Number 1, it reduces unemployment, which means it creates jobs for the owner who becomes self-employed and also for his or her family members. And it also generates income. The enterprise is now the source of income for the entrepreneur and his or her family.
Oh wow, I didn't realize we have learned so much today. Linus, please give us the rest of the importance.
Sure, Miss. I have learned that enterprises are important to the owner and his or her family because they increase their living standards. Through income generation, the owner and his family are able to satisfy their needs and wants. Reduce poverty. The enterprise generates an income which reduces the poverty of the entrepreneur and his or her family, as they can be able to afford their needs such as food, shelter, and clothing.
Up to the sky, up to the sky, jump to the sky, up to the sky, up to the sky.
And that brings us to the end of this program. But before we say goodbye, here's a question we have promised you. You should identify 5 other businesses in Namibia that create self-employment opportunities. So you write the 5 businesses in your notebooks and then you give to your parents to mark. This program was written by Peace and Shindume. So until next time, keep safe and sanitize.
Up to the sky.
This program was brought to you by NAMCOL with funding from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture and the Commonwealth of Learning.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the last program of our series, Awakening Entrepreneurial Minds, which is produced for grade 8 learners and, of course, anybody else who has an interest in the subject. My name is Pisen Shindume. Today we'll be learning about the importance of ICT in businesses and enterprises. Please be sure to have a pen and a notebook with you so that you can make notes of the important points. It's very important to listen until the end because we'll have a question for you. The world is becoming digital and technology is the new thing now all over the world. In business, we also need technology. We need to integrate ICTs if we want to keep up with the times and be competitive in the business market. So buckle up because you are about to embark on a journey to technologies. At the end of this program, you should be able to explain the importance of ICTs in business. List the following ICT tools used or to be used in businesses or enterprises, which are computers, telephones or cell phones, and fax machines. Good morning, class.
Good morning, Miss.
Today we'll be talking about a very interesting topic. We'll be explaining the importance of ICTs in businesses or enterprises.
My goodness, Miss. Let's start off by explaining what ICT stands for. I'm literally lost right now.
Silly, who doesn't know what ICT stands for anymore? I kind of understand you though, because you did design in primary grades. Well, ICT stands for Information Communication Technology.
Well, I'm still lost. What is information communication technology? What does ICT do?
Okay, let me shed some light on what ICT is. ICT stands for Information Communication Technology, and it's the use of technology to share information, especially using computers and telecommunications to send and receive information. Example is when you are sending out an email to somebody from your computer, or when you use a telephone to communicate with somebody who is far.
Oh, now I understand, Miss. Thank you.
Right. So now that you understand, why do you think it's important to use ICTs in businesses?
Well, I think it's important because it keeps us in touch with the suppliers and customers. You can literally send an email of your order to your suppliers or call them up to order. You can also have your customers order their products online or calling through to inquire about items they wish to buy. Entrepreneurs can also use their phones and other technology tools with internet and search engines to search for information on the internet.
That's right, Wacheri. If you give me that answer in examinations, it's a straight pass for you. Just to add maybe, the use of ICT also allow entrepreneurs to work from home because they can still find, receive and share information even if they are not in the offices. This can be done through phone calls or emails or faxes. ICT also reminds us of important schedules, meetings, appointments, and so forth. If you have a cell phone, you can set a reminder of your important schedules. Then it will remind you when that day arrives. And the last one is that it's important for documentations, bookkeeping, and calculations.
Miss, I understand the other importance, but how is ICT important for documentation, booking, and calculations?
That's a very good question, Job. Like I said before, ICT includes the use of computers. Most companies don't use the manual way of recording business transactions anymore, which is of writing everything down in books. They do all their bookkeepings, documentations, and calculations in their computers.
Ah, thank you, Miss. Now I understand.
Good. ICT in general just make our work easier. Instead of walking to the office to hand deliver files, you just go to your computer or cell phone and quickly you send an email consisting of all the files you want to be sent. It is cost-free. All you need is just internet connection or credit. The telephone, on the other hand, serves the same duty. You can remain connected with people that are living miles away. They could be business associates or business partners, but with the cell phone, the distance is bridged.
That's right, Miss. But if we are asked to list the tools to be used in business, which ones do we list?
That's another good question, because your syllabus asks that you should be able to list them. These are the tools: computers, cellular phones or telephone, and fax machines.
Thank you, ma'am. May I conclude the lesson for today, if we still have time, of course?
Yes, dear, you have about 3 minutes to sum up.
All right. Today I have learned that ICT is important to the business for the following reasons. 1. To communicate with suppliers and customers. 2. To seek information on the internet. 3. To receive and find information even if you are not in office. 4. To remind you of important meeting schedules or appointments. 5. The importance for documentation, bookings, and calculations.
Miss, I learned that there are 3 ICT tools that can be used in business, namely computer, cellular phone or telephone, and a fax machine.
Up to the sky, jump to the sky.
And that brings us to the end of this program. But before we say goodbye, here is the question that we had promised you. Which of the following is an ICT tool to be used in business? A. Video games. B. Fax machines. C. Software. This program was written by Pisa Shindume. So until next time, keep safe.
Up to the sky, jump to the sky.
This program was brought to you by NAMCOL with funding from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture and the Commonwealth of Learning.